Hey guys, welcome to Yesterday's Coffee, the podcast where we chat about nutrition, fitness, and business all over coffee that may or may not have been brewed yesterday. My name's Kyle. This is Alexa. Today we are covering micronutrients and supplements. So we're going to start things off with micros, and this is really Alexa's wheelhouse.
This is like my favorite subject.
So we are definitely going to lean on her for a lot of this topic, and then we're going to branch into a lot of basic supplements, some of your core stuff, performance stuff, and then maybe touch on a little bit of fat burning stuff as well. So
this is not necessarily my favorite subject to talk about, but probably one of my favorite things to argue about, considering people think that vegetables are not important, and people who work out think vegetables don't matter as much as macros do, and that's 100% not true. Because last week we talked all about how macronutrients are used by the body to create energy, right?
Yep.
So, without micronutrients, so your vitamins and minerals, those are what your micronutrients are.
Got it.
Without your micronutrients, none of those reactions that create energy or do anything else in your body can happen.
So
they just can't happen. That's pretty important. Yeah. That's like really important stuff there. So, you've got these macronutrients, and then in order to release, all of that energy and to break down those materials into usable pieces, you have to have certain vitamins and minerals. So the foods that are very macro heavy, right? They all come with a certain amount and certain types of micronutrients. However, they're not all of the things that you need. So you can't realistically get every single vitamin and mineral that you need from just, very macro heavy foods alone.
Well, I guess that kind of points to the variety side of things over here, right?
Yes. So variety is super important because, again, even all of your plants and all of your, your fruits and your vegetables and other nutrients and other foods still don't have all of the same things, right? So broccoli's got way different things than carrots have. Those things have different nutrients than, meat or dairy products have. So every single plant food, every single food in general has a different what's the word?
Makeup?
Yeah, different makeup, different nutrient makeup, different nutrient profile. It's got a different balance of those vitamins and minerals.
So if I'm brand new to all of this, and so last week we covered macros, and now you're telling me I need to make sure I'm getting the right micros, what's kind of an easy way to think about how I would go about doing that? Because with the macros, it's very much, all right, look at this food label. Here's how much fat's here. Here's how many carbs are in here. And here's what the protein is. And to some extent, you can do that with a food label, but that's a very limiting part of nutrition facts on food.
Definitely. So nutrition facts, they're not required to list. I take that back. I think there's a very small requirement that they have to show the percentage of the daily value for certain nutrients. So like things like vitamin D, calcium, like there are a couple that are really important that I think are required to be on labels, but you've got way more vitamins and minerals than just like vitamin D and calcium, right? So you can't really rely on a food label to be able to tell you what kind of micronutrients are in that food. You kind of have to go by the rule of variety and trying to eat, a set amount of servings of fruits and vegetables. I think that would be the best way to do it with food. Maybe not always the easiest for everybody, because obviously supplementation is something that can make a lot of things easier.
Sure.
But I always recommend food first, because those micronutrients are packaged up in a way naturally in food that your body typically digests and absorbs and uses a little bit better.
Right. So you said servings. How many servings are we talking?
So the USDA actually recommends 9 to 11 servings of fruits and vegetables every single day.
Per day.
9
to 11 servings.
9 to 11 servings. And that's actually just the US requirement. Other countries have seen that more is actually beneficial. So upwards of like 15 plus servings of fruits and vegetables a day.
That's pretty typical for most people, right?
Yeah, right? Like a couple pieces of broccoli on their plate. Like we're good. So, and we're talking about half cup servings. When we say servings, a serving is generally a half cup.
So you're looking at over 7 cups of vegetables a day.
Yes. Which is it's a lot of food in general. That's a lot of food.
Yeah, that takes up a lot of space.
For the most part, not everyone loves vegetables that much.
Yeah.
So for a lot of people, it's not realistic because, again, vegetables can sometimes take more preparation, more time, more planning, which, is something that I don't generally let my clients use as an excuse, but it is an excuse for a lot of people.
Yeah, I mean, that's a lot.
That's a lot.
I sure don't get that.
I know. My question is, how long has the broccoli been sitting in your fridge?
No, we don't need to talk about that.
A long time, I'll answer for you. It's been a long time.
I try.
So, we get into vegetables sometimes. But, so the people who are really set on these, limited variety diets, so they kind of stick to their, typical diet foods, or they stick to, eating their chicken, their, carb source, and then maybe one vegetable or something like that. Mm-hmm. But it's usually the same vegetable week to week. And that's the other place that people get, kind of stuck in a rut, is that, again, every single plant food has a different blend of nutrients. So if you just eat broccoli every single day for the rest of your life, I mean, that's great. Good for you. I mean, that's some nutrients.
I mean, it's better than nothing.
It's absolutely better than nothing. But at the same time, you're going to eventually run into a problem where your body is missing something. So that's where this recommendation to kind of eat a colorful plate, or to eat the rainbow, which I know sounds, I mean, it's very, government pushed, sure. But at the same time, it's true, because every single different color of plant food is going to have a different blend of vitamins and minerals.
Okay, that's fair.
So, but again, if eating these vegetables isn't super appealing to you, or isn't the most realistic, at least at the start, that's where, supplementation can be super important and super helpful. So we always recommend kind of a baseline of supplementation to all of our clients, regardless of what their vegetable intake is. And then after a month or so, I give my clients who are very good at eating vegetables a little bit more leeway to decide if they need some of these basic supplements or not.
Okay. Yeah, so a multivitamin is definitely the first thing that comes to mind supplement-wise for just about anybody. Really anybody, no matter, I mean, even if you're consuming a lot of vegetables, you can still benefit from a multi.
Absolutely, because again, it comes down to, are you able to plan out, having 12 different varieties of vegetables in a week?
Yeah.
Is that something that's realistic to you?
Yeah, because what you're saying is, even if I eat a ton of broccoli through the week, I'm not getting everything I need.
No, absolutely not.
Even if I make that 2 or 3 vegetables, I'm probably still not.
Probably not. Yeah. And again, your body's going to be very thankful. It has more tools and more things that can enable it to, feel better, function better, whatever. Mm-hmm. But again, over time, you still have some really big gaps that need to be filled.
And that's what the multi's for.
Yes. So, a multivitamin is a really good way to cover our bases. The other thing about food and produce and plant foods is that our soil is a lot less nutrient dense than it used to be. So a lot of the vitamins and minerals over time have been stripped out of our soil and not being replaced at a fast enough rate. So
those foods actually aren't as nutritious as they used to be.
Yes. So, a lot of our produce now, which is also being, grown and genetically modified in certain ways to make it bigger and kind of stretch that food, it's also diluting a lot of nutrients. So, our soil's diluted, in the way that we have begun to grow foods has also kind of diluted the nutrition that are in specific foods. So an apple today is not as nutritious as it was 50 years ago, 100 years ago.
So that's just going to keep going.
Unfortunately, yeah, unless we start treating our earth a little bit better, I think.
So supplementation.
Yes. Supplementation, super important. Your multivitamin. It's also good to know that not all supplements are created equally.
So that was going to be my next question. So we're eating our vegetables as best we can. We start taking a multivitamin. How do I choose a multivitamin? What's a good multivitamin?
So it's important to know that, a general 1-a-day multivitamin is probably not enough to cover your bases. Mm-hmm. Or it's not structured in a way that's going to let your body actually be able to extract all of those vitamins and minerals. So the best thing to do when you're looking for a multivitamin is to look for something that comes in capsule form versus tablet form. Right, okay. So we're talking about capsules that can be pulled apart. You don't need to pull them apart, but just capsules.
Easier to digest and get what's actually inside it.
So versus these pressed, chalky-looking tablets, those tablets, they just sit in the bottom of your stomach. It's a lot harder for your stomach acid to break through and actually dissolve a tablet versus breaking through the very thin skin of a capsule.
Sure.
So capsules are going to actually let your body absorb the nutrients a lot quicker in total. A lot of these tablets or even like gummy vitamins can completely pass through your system without actually being fully digested or absorbed.
I got a good story on gummies, but we'll wait till we get to fish oil for that.
Perfect. So these multivitamins that come in capsule form, you also want to look for something that's more than one capsule. Realistically, if you're looking for capsule form, it has to be more than one because they can't press or fit enough of all of the things that you need in one single capsule.
Right. Yeah. You got to get all, because you're trying to get all your requirements for the day, and there's only so much space.
There's only so much space.
So you need multiple.
So there will be multiple capsules. Yeah. The other thing to note is that, on the back of most vitamin labels, you're getting some nutrients in percentages that, are stated as being over 100% of your daily value. Your body can only absorb so much of certain vitamins and minerals at a time. So to throw in 300%, 1,000% of certain nutrients at one time, your body can't even use all of that.
Right.
So it's best to be able to split those capsules depending on what the serving size is, how many capsules that the bottle recommends, and just kind of splitting them up into 2 separate times during the day.
So you would look for a multivitamin that actually recommends 2 separate dosages, right?
Well, and not even that. As long as it has multiple capsules, you can separate the dosage.
You could make it yourself.
Yeah.
But a good one should actually recommend that.
A good one would recommend it, but I would say that there are still good ones or decent ones out there that might not specifically say that.
You could get away with it by just doing it yourself.
Yes.
Got it.
Yes. The important part just is that it's capsule and that there are more than, there's more than one.
More than one
Definitely.
Total capsule.
Yes. Quality is also important. I usually recommend that people get supplements, all supplements, but specifically multivitamins that are third-party tested, just to make sure that it contains what the bottle says it contains. Mm-hmm. Because we know that the FDA doesn't necessarily regulate supplements.
Yeah, it's not regulated.
Basically, like, if the FDA finds out that there's a supplement on the market that's not safe, they will pull it off the market. But that's the only thing they do. Right. That's the only intervention, is if it will hurt you or not hurt you.
And that goes for any supplement.
Yeah, absolutely. Any supplement.
Claiming any sort of benefit whatsoever.
So, but what they don't really care about is anything else.
Yeah.
Like, literally anything else. So if this vitamin says that it has 100 milligrams of vitamin C, and it only has 1, the FDA doesn't care about that.
Right. It's not going to hurt you, but it's a total waste of money.
Yeah, you're wasting your money. Yeah. So higher quality supplements are more expensive, but that's generally because they contain what they say they contain. They don't contain a lot of fillers or, extracts or additives. And they are usually in the most available or bioavailable, most digestible form.
Got it.
So that pretty much covers it on what you would look for with a multivitamin.
So next up, I would say common supplement number 2 would be fish oil. Correct?
Yeah.
So fish oils, the reason why I recommend them is primarily for joint health and fat metabolism. So these healthy omega-3s that come in from this type of supplement help to lubricate the joints, which is especially important if you are consistently weightlifting and just looking for health overall. And then fat metabolism is really important too. So keeping that stream of omegas coming into the body, allowing your body to utilize those in supplement form, because a lot of people don't eat a lot of fatty fish.
No, people don't generally eat enough fish throughout the week.
Right. So that type of supplement can be very useful. Is there anything else that you would recommend it for in particular?
So omega-3s are very important for a lot of different reactions in the body. During our macro conversation, we talked about how your brain is made mostly of fat. Mm-hmm. And so what a lot of studies have shown is that your brain is made more of the fats that you eat more of. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So the more anti-inflammatory fats that you eat that come in through your diet, the more anti-inflammatory fats that are going to make up your brain, your brain tissue, which kind of increases the rate of, reactions happening in the brain, increases, how quickly your brain can function on a daily basis. So it's actually really good for brain health and cognition overall. Also, we know it's good for heart health. We know it's, they're potent anti-inflammatories, which can take care of your whole body. And then the joints, hair, skin, and nails also benefit because those anti-inflammatory fats can become parts of cells that make up the hair, skin, and nails and kind of give you a little bit more of a glow.
Got it.
So generally, your body needs these. They're essential, and your body can't make them. So supplementing them is the only option for a lot of people who don't get enough in their diet.
And this leads us to a good fish oil supplement. So this one I find pretty funny because the vast majority of fish oils on the market are way underdosed. They're total crap. So when we're looking at a fish oil, what doesn't matter is the amount of fish oil in the capsule. What we actually care about are the omega-3s. So when you actually look at a label for a fish oil, if you flip it around to the back and then you're looking at the nutrition facts in pretty tiny print under fish oil, you'll actually see two different lines. And these two lines will say EPA and DHA. I'm not going to try to pronounce the actual names of these omegas, but those are the two things you're looking for. And the number next to those are what counts. So you're going to add up both of those numbers, the number for the EPA, the number for the DHA, and what I typically recommend is you want a total around 2,000 milligrams.
Yes, that's a very standard dosage. So I think the minimum dosage recommended to be useful to people is about 1,000 milligrams.
Okay.
So, and then you have to think, if 1,000 milligrams is my baseline and I'm highly active or I have a lot of inflammation coming from stress or coming from health problems, coming from any medical conditions that I might have, that's going to increase your requirement slightly.
That makes sense.
So you might see really high level athletes taking in, 3,000 plus milligrams of fish oil.
Yeah.
But I would say the average person is right around 2.
Yeah. So that's typically what I recommend. A lot of times when you actually look into these supplements where it'll say 2,000 milligrams per serving or whatever it may be, and then you look at the actual omega breakdown,
it might be like 300.
It might be 4 or 5 servings of multiple capsules to get you there. So some of the best fish oils that I've found will take you to that 2,000 mark in like 3 or 4 total fish oils.
Yeah.
The funny story that I mentioned earlier, the single worst fish oil supplement I've ever seen was actually a gummy fish oil.
That exists? I don't think I've ever seen one.
It exists. And
that just sounds bad.
A friend of mine purchased it, and he knows who he is.
Yeah.
And he brought it home, and he was asking me specifically what was going on with it, if it was good or not. And so I looked at the EPA, the DHA, and I kid you not, there were 90 gummies in this supplement. And to get the 2,000 milligrams of EPA and DHA, you would have had to have taken in 45 of them.
Oh my gosh.
So
how much do they have per gummy then? Like 5?
It was
2?
I can't remember. Whatever that math breaks out.
Yeah,
I'm not doing
it.
But it was 45 of these gummies. So
That's
it was
hilarious.
2 days worth in this 90 pack of fish oil gummies.
Oh my god.
So I wouldn't recommend going the gummy route.
So honestly, gummies, I know that for a lot of people who can't take pills, gummies are really, an attractive option. But your body can't digest them as well, and a lot of times they don't have what you need.
Well, yeah, you're not getting anything from them.
Yeah.
It's just a gummy that's...
It's very hard to suspend...
totally useless.
...usable vitamins and minerals in a gummy form.
So, avoid the gummies. If you find... so a good fish oil, you should be able to find one that has at least 500 milligrams of EPA plus DHA per capsule.
Per capsule, yes.
Yeah.
And that's the thing, that goes back to the quality issue. The higher quality fish oils do contain higher amounts of omega-3. So that's kind of how you can judge the quality of a fish oil. Mm-hmm. If there's only 100 milligrams in a capsule, that's not a high quality fish oil.
Right.
So again, and you would have to get your dosage by doing the math on how many capsules are going to give you that 2,000 milligram of omega-3 content.
Well, so a lot of the ones that I've seen at just like basic grocery stores will, to get to that 2,000 milligram mark, you're looking at like 8 to 12. So,
and people will, and when I tell people that, because, you know, I'll always ask my clients what kind of, like what brand of supplements they're using. And when it comes to fish oil, people will say that, and they'll be like, you know, I just take whatever dosage is on the package, which might be 2 capsules that both have 150 milligrams
maybe
each.
You're at 300, 400.
And I will tell them that. I'll tell them, well, if you're going to keep that fish oil because you know, like the price or you like whatever, you're going to need to take 10 of them. and they are all like, wait a second, what? Like, are you kidding? I cannot take that many. And I said, okay, well, get a better fish oil then. I don't know.
Well, and then that price doesn't even matter.
No, the price doesn't matter.
Because you're not getting what you need anyways.
Yeah, that's what people need to understand is supplements can be very expensive. And I have seen some just over the top expensive, like way too expensive supplements.
This is definitely not to say that just because it's expensive means it's good. You still got to check it and see what's in there. But especially with like these basic ones, like a fish oil, a multivitamin, the price is going to go a long way.
Absolutely. And I mean, it's just like a lot of things in life, you do get what you pay for.
Yeah.
So you do have to put a little bit more, budget a little bit more for them. But I personally think that they should be a part of your monthly like grocery budget. Like it should be a part of the budget that you give yourself to spend on things for your health or, you know, food items. It should
just be a part of your food budget.
Absolutely. So the last thing that I think benefits a lot of people, just because it fills a really major gap for people who are either starting a new plan or just can't get enough of this macronutrient, would be a protein powder. Right?
Yeah, no, I would definitely say that pretty much everybody could benefit from a protein powder. Not to say that you have to use one if you're really good about getting plenty of protein in, but it has tons of different benefits from just being very easily digestible, depending on the type and depending on the person, obviously, and then just very easy to prepare. Like it's a powder, you mix it up, you go.
Absolutely.
So that makes it very beneficial for a lot of people. Now, there are a ton of protein powders out there.
There are a million. It can be the most overwhelming thing to send someone down the aisle with the protein powders.
I get this question a ton with
from
people
everyone
that I just start working with because there's so much marketing around, especially as you get into these performance supplements of this protein builds this kind of muscle or this helps with this type of fat loss or what else. And while there are certainly different types of proteins and they can definitely do different things and be better for certain situations, at the end of the day, it's still protein.
Yeah.
So we're talking about very small differences between some of these. So the most common one that you'll find is a whey protein.
The most common and the cheapest.
Yeah. And even whey itself isn't just as simple as being whey. Because you've got whey concentrate, you've got whey isolate, you've got hydrolysate, you've got all these different fractions of the whey protein. And it's like, where do you even go with this? And so
for the average person, it does not matter.
Correct.
It does not matter.
So that was going to be my next point is if you're taking a whey protein and you're doing it to help fill your macros, like you said, then that derivative of protein really doesn't make any difference. You're not going to see any difference in weight. You're not going to see any real difference in body composition. Honestly, you really won't. Where these different proteins do make a difference is in more of an athletic population, more of a competitive bodybuilding or physique population where every little bit does make a difference.
Sure.
And so that's where you get into isolates being a very popular and quality choice. So concentrate breaks down into isolate, and then isolate breaks down from there into hydrolysate. And the more broken down the protein gets, the faster it absorbs. And so this can be incredibly beneficial for post-workout situations where you're trying to initiate that recovery process as fast as possible and build new muscle tissue and everything else. And so in those specific populations where that is the utmost importance, that's where you would focus on that type of thing. But other than that, as long as you're getting proper protein intake in throughout the day and you can use some sort of supplement to get you there, what type of whey you're using in this specific situation really doesn't make too much of a difference.
It's relevant.
So where proteins become a lot more different would be in the types. So you've got your whey protein. Another common one is casein.
Mm-hmm.
So,
which is also another dairy protein,
right?
Correct?
So these are both dairy proteins. The major difference between whey protein and casein protein is how fast they digest. And so casein is a very slow to digest protein because it takes a lot more time for the body to actually break it down, which makes it a really good protein for overnight. So most often with casein, you'll see it recommended before bed. Sometimes I'll recommend it as like a snack throughout the day just to kind of hold you over because it is much more slow to digest. It's going to keep you satiated for longer. That's really the primary benefit of using casein powder. There is a decent amount of research that suggests combining a fast digesting protein like a whey and a casein post-workout actually increases protein synthesis more effectively post-workout than just a whey or just a casein.
Sure, because the whey is kind of fulfilling those short-term needs, and that casein is continuing to be digested longer into the day.
So you're keeping
to
that
repair
protein synthesis at a higher level for a longer time.
Which again, I feel like is mostly for those performance people or for those people who have very specific goals related to training.
Exactly. These are for very specific fitness-related, physique-related goals where this type of stuff comes into play. But really, other than that, if you're getting your protein in, whether that's from a whey, a casein, or even like a plant protein or a beef protein, if you've got issues with digesting dairy or you're vegetarian or vegan and have to have a different option, you're really not going to see too much of a difference. And you really have to be on top of your game, even as a competitor, to notice a real difference.
Definitely. Well, and I think on my side of things, the restrictions, like dietary restrictions, are the biggest reason that I would recommend something other than whey. So if people have a sensitivity to dairy, or if people prefer to use a plant protein, or they are vegetarian or vegan, there are some different options. And then you have some other options, things like the beef or even like a bone broth protein that might have other health benefits or be good for a different population.
Yeah.
But in the grand scheme of things, the average person could use any of those types and be okay. So if you have some restrictions or have some other things going on, then you might want to look into a different type. But other than that, the cheapest, easiest to find would be whey. Yeah.
Whey is what I always recommend unless there's some other factor at play. So really you can't go wrong with that. And going into more down the performance line as far as supplements go, the next big one I want to touch on is creatine. And this, I could talk an hour straight on just creatine, but this is one of the biggest supplements out there as far as misinformation and actual scientific study goes. So creatine is the most well-studied supplement on the planet, hands down. And it's incredibly effective. It's incredibly safe. There is a lot of misinformation out there. So creatine, in a nutshell, is essentially providing your body with more fast-acting energy. I'm not going to get into the biology of...
It's something that your body naturally produces that helps release more energy inside your body.
Right.
So it's something that already exists there. This is just a more concentrated form to increase that release of energy.
Well, and you also are consuming creatine in smaller amounts just from food.
Yeah, so absolutely. It comes in your animal proteins.
Right. So red meat is the place where you'll find the most naturally occurring creatine. So you're consuming it all the time. The reason for the supplementation is to increase the overall storage of it in the body so that when you go to perform and work out, you have more of that fast-acting, we'll call it energy, available.
Sure.
And so creatine is great for building muscle. It's great for increasing strength. One of the really interesting parts about it is that actually about a third of the population is what's called a non-responder. So somebody that doesn't actually benefit from creatine just because they already have naturally high levels.
I actually didn't know that.
Yeah. So it's actually around a third of the population just naturally high creatine levels.
That's so interesting.
Once you get to a ceiling, it doesn't do anything else for you.
So would you know that? Or is that not something that you, like, are there people out there who are just taking unnecessary amounts of creatine and not really realizing it?
Well, so you would probably notice whether or not it's really doing anything for you.
Just because you would feel a difference or not feel a difference?
Not necessarily feel a difference, more so actually see a difference. So
Sure.
Creatine is very effective at putting on muscle mass, improving strength. A lot of times people that first start using creatine will see their body weight go up 5, maybe 10 pounds in a matter of a couple months, just because this is more readily available from that supplementation. If you aren't really seeing that type of progress, then maybe your levels are already naturally high. The thing about creatine, though, is it is very safe. So exceeding a certain amount of creatine isn't going to be detrimental. The biggest detriment to consuming too much creatine would be some sort of like indigestion. If you're bringing it in way too high of a dosage at once, you'll just cramp up. It won't be comfortable. It's not going to hurt you.
Sure.
But you wouldn't want to overconsume it as far as that goes. But just utilizing it and using it regularly is totally fine. Some people like to take the idea of cycling on, cycling off to try to kind of reinstigate those initial gains from it.
So is that beneficial, cycling at all, or is there no research to support that?
People are 50-50 on it.
Gotcha.
Honestly, I don't know that there's really that big of a difference with it. Kind of the way that I see it is you're going to be utilizing that creatine that's available. Whether or not it's the first time that you've used it, I don't really see as being that relevant. What I see as being the biggest influence is if somebody is naturally very low in creatine and they start using it, that's where that big boost is going to come from. And again, it's all about overall storage levels of creatine.
Sure.
So just because you drop it down, bring it back up, maybe it has some sort of effect. There's not really a lot of conclusive evidence for that. So I just recommend people continue with it, to be honest.
So what about the people that question whether creatine is going to make them super bloated? So that's something that people like complain about a lot? Yeah,
the whole water thing and the idea that you're just putting on water weight. So creatine does promote water being pulled into the muscle cell, which is a good thing. We want water to get into the cell, keep it hydrated. That's very important. And this actually has an effect on muscle growth. So your muscle has a specific gradient of water. So say it's 70% water.
Sure.
And if creatine is pulling more fluid into that cell, and maybe it pulls it up to 71%, that's actually a signal to build more tissue to bring that percentage back down.
Interesting.
So that's kind of one of the effects of how creatine goes about putting more muscle onto your body is through that mechanism.
That signal. So that's interesting. And I honestly think, because I don't know quite as much about it, but the thing that I do know about creatine and about, protein specifically is that, your body goes through the digestion process, and protein creates more byproducts, more waste products than carbs and fats do typically. And so those waste products need more water to be able to be flushed out of the body. The other thing is, if you're saying creatine is pulling more water into the cell, then it's pulling water away from other places in the body that might need water, which actually could create a very slight state of dehydration, which would cause you to kind of feel like this bloated or feel like you're retaining more water. So again, it's just something that I know about protein, but...
Yeah, no. So, I mean, you should definitely be plenty hydrated while you're using creatine.
Sure. Well, but the other thing I think people don't realize is when you increase your protein level or you add in a supplement like creatine, that you might also need to adjust your water levels that you're drinking. I
do really want to touch on that bloating thing, though. That is a common question. And the huge difference here is where that water is. So we're talking about pulling water into a muscle cell versus bloating is water in the subcutaneous skin and fat around.
Which can happen due to dehydration sometimes.
And so this is a totally different thing of if water is being pulled in the muscle cell, you're not bloating up.
No.
That's not what this is. If anything, it's inflating the volume of the muscle tissue.
Your muscles are looking bigger, honestly.
Exactly. So it's not. So that's one of the really common misconceptions with creatine and water. And at the end of the day, it's incredibly safe, incredibly effective for the majority of people, and it's also incredibly cheap. So the best form of creatine you can use is creatine monohydrate. There's no question about this. It has a 98% absorption rate. And every other creatine out there that isn't monohydrate is honestly just marketing garbage. There's no reason to use it. They try all these different delivery methods that might take less creatine to get there, to get to where it needs to be. But at the end of the day, monohydrate is the most effective. It's the cheapest. It's the safest.
Got it. So along that same vein, right, ways to kind of increase muscle synthesis or protein synthesis, a lot of people will use amino acids.
Yeah.
Whether that be like BCAAs, like branched chain amino acids, or essential amino acids.
Yeah.
So what is like the major difference between those two, and how do they both impact protein synthesis?
So essential amino acids and branched chain amino acids are different in that your essential amino acids are aminos that cannot be produced by the body naturally. So they've got to be brought in through the diet. Branched chain amino acids are your leucine, isoleucine, and valine, and these are the aminos that are most responsible for muscle growth.
Is it specifically muscle growth, or is it the protection of muscle against being broken down? That's what I've always been a little confused about.
It's both. I mean, they go hand in hand.
Okay.
So, because we're talking about protein synthesis, we're talking about anti-catabolic. The difference in how you use these is primarily the time that you would take them. So, if you are going to be using both essential aminos and branched chain aminos as supplements, you would actually want to use the essential amino acids pre-workout. And the reason for that is by incorporating these beforehand, you're actually turning on, you're increasing the rate of protein synthesis, which is muscle building, post-workout. So having those aminos available actually increases the rate at which you can get protein synthesis going, which is huge for muscle building. It's huge for recovery. With branched chain amino acids, these are something that I use primarily during a workout, so intra-workout fuel, and it's partly what you said with limiting overall muscle protein breakdown. So with utilizing BCAAs during a workout, what you're doing is and this is not my analogy, I can't remember where I heard this from, but if you liken a workout to digging a hole, then without any sort of supplements, you dig a hole, and however hard you train is how deep it goes, and your recovery is trying to fill that hole back in with dirt and build it back up higher than it was before. With branched chain amino acids in the mix, you're essentially doing that same workload, but the hole doesn't get as deep. So you've got less
stuff to replace
that you got to replace.
That makes sense.
To build back up.
Oh, okay.
So that's how I like to look at branched chain amino acids.
So I think that does answer my question, because you see a lot of like big names right now saying that BCAAs are useless and garbage, and that everyone should be using essential amino acids instead.
They're two different things.
They are two different things.
For two different.
But I think a lot of people right now are trying to switch tracks, because for so long everyone's been recommending the branched chains. And then all of a sudden, like, I've seen a lot of really big fitness people talking about that you shouldn't be wasting your time or your money and you should be more focused on these essentials. But I think you have the right idea with the BCAAs are going to be what keeps the muscle you do have from becoming too broken down. We're not going to lose muscle mass in the process. And the essential amino acids are signaling to the body and giving the body the materials to go in and rebuild.
Correct.
Bigger.
Yeah, exactly. So they're used for two totally different spots of your training and your nutrition.
I would agree.
And I wouldn't necessarily say that one is better than the other. My personal preference, if I had to choose one, are the branched chain amino acids, just because anecdotally I notice a difference when I train. And so that
I do too, to be honest. Yeah. I feel a definite difference. Yeah. I don't feel quite as beaten down and sore after a workout.
For me, it's a very mental thing. I don't feel nearly as tired or exhausted from some of the training that I do if I'm drinking BCAAs versus if I'm just drinking water.
Got it.
So that's a personal anecdote. But ideal situation would absolutely be EAAs before, so your essentials, BCAAs during the workout, and then utilizing that protein, and if you're using creatine, post-workout in that shake as well.
Got it. Definitely. So people who are more performance-driven, that would be the best way to set things up. And then, for my people who are just general wellness type people who have a ton of muscle soreness that maybe gets in the way of their life, then I would occasionally recommend like a BCAA to help them with that.
I mean, BCAAs are great for anybody.
For anybody. But for most people, they don't want to think about extra supplements or they don't want to spend money on extra supplements. So,
well, yeah, and if you're not training that hard, it's a waste of money. There's really no reason to use it unless it's specifically to impact recovery. If you're having an issue with that. Yeah. That's where you could include that.
Yeah. So for the average person, you could take it or leave it, but if you feel like you're just on your deathbed after your workouts, then you might want to add it in and take care of some of your soreness.
Yeah, definitely. So finally, I know we've gone on for a long time today.
This has been so long. Sorry.
We have one last thing we want to touch on, and that is fat loss supplements specifically.
Oh, yeah. So, fat burners.
Fat burners.
So the average person, do they benefit from just throwing down a ton of fat burners?
No, not at all.
No.
So,
like zero. No.
A fat burner is essentially a cocktail of some sort of stimulant, normally caffeine. Maybe they throw in some sort of spicy pepper extract because
they're shown to increase your metabolism.
There is some evidence that it does increase metabolism. And so it's basically just this cocktail of stimulants.
Yeah.
Now, stimulants will absolutely affect metabolic rate to some degree.
To some degree.
And there can be some uses for these types of supplements, but that is typically in somebody that is already incredibly lean. So if you have a weight loss goal, this is not for you.
I mean, this is not even really for people who have 5 pounds to lose. Like we're talking about making a very shredded person look more shredded.
Yeah, if you've got like 2 weeks out to your standing on stage and you're trying to see every last fiber of your serratus, then that's what we're talking about here. If you are trying to lose 20 pounds, God forbid you're trying to lose 50 or more,
then this very slight addition or very slight change to your metabolism is really not affecting you.
It's totally inconsequential.
And you're wasting money.
You're wasting money. You're hyped up on stimulants.
Well, and most people are already so stressed out as it is that adding in more stimulants can actually push your metabolism the other way. It can actually damage your metabolism further if you're overusing these stimulants.
Adrenal fatigue and all that.
I mean, it can cause, a major burnout for you mentally and emotionally, plus the fact that you're not going to be seeing the progress that you want to see, which is, gets people down.
Right. So if you have a weight loss goal and you're even questioning whether or not you should use these, you shouldn't be.
No. Just don't waste your time. Honestly, unless you are in a competition prep, which you would probably be working with a coach who would be recommending certain supplements to you, and you wouldn't even have to think about whether you should or you shouldn't. But that's really the only people that this would apply to.
You wouldn't take one of these and see a difference unless you already have a six-pack.
Yes.
So unless you have a six-pack and you're trying to get even leaner than that, which is basically competition, that's the only time you would ever even think about this. Not to say that you would have to use it.
And again, I personally don't think that they're very good for your body in general. And I think most people, even competitors who take them, know that they're not good to use long term and that they're not good for your body. Well, right. Again, it's just increasing the stress on your body.
Yeah, I mean, the last 2 weeks of competition prep are not healthy.
Yeah. No, but everyone knows that is the thing. And
right. And so this would be
take the risks.
An ingredient for that. And 2 weeks, as long as you're not doing anything insane, isn't going to really affect you.
Well, but competitors choose that. I mean, they know that. Right. Most people who are seasoned competitors understand the risks, and that's something that they have chosen to do for their living.
Absolutely. But the average person, the weight loss goal, you're not touching
anything marketed as a fat loss, weight loss supplement, fat burner. Just don't bother.
Yeah,
just
don't bother. Save your money. You don't need it.
Yeah.
So I really thank you guys for bearing with us today. I know we went on for a long
Hopefully
long
time. It was useful, though. I mean, supplements, a lot of people have questions.
There's a lot to them. There's a ton out there. There's a new supplement every single day. So this will probably not get any easier. But the more you kind of know the basics of what to look for, really is what makes a difference with supplements. So thank you guys for tuning in.
Yeah, thanks.
If you have any sort of topics you want us to cover in the future, feel free to let us know. You can contact me at hypertrofit.com. You can find Alexa at therootedrd.com. And if you guys liked the show, feel free to subscribe on any of the platforms that we are showing this on. So we will see you guys next week.
We'll see you next week.